I decided to come on here and talk about my experience and I guess the one thing that's normally silent and that people um, don't really talk about. And I just want to start off with how I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to be at such an institution, let alone secondary education, because I know that's not an opportunity a lot of people get to pursue. Not a lot of people get to further themselves and actually take that next step. And this isn't me saying that you necessarily have to. You can be successful and have an amazing life with or without college. But I mean, to the person who wants a specific career, maybe a doctor, maybe a lawyer, maybe an engineer, whatever it is, secondary education is going to help you get there significantly. But yeah, I just want to clarify that I'm grateful to be here. But with that being said, there's not really a best way of exploring yourself. I mean, in class, you are given information and it's back to back, right? And this is a cycle that's continuous and you learn all these various concepts, things that some you may have never even heard about going into college, and it's an adventure, and it feeds on your ambition, and you're given incentives to do good in class and communicate with your teacher, and you're learning all this stuff that you think you're supposed to know, but you don't really understand more about yourself in class. And in school, right? I mean, this applies to any form of education. You're learning a variety of topics and subjects, but you don't necessarily discover yourself through these. And now you may say, well, I discovered my passion for chemistry by taking chemistry class, or I did this and that. And I am more than happy that you were able to discover that early on. But for most amount of students, it's not really possible. It's not really an outcome. And I know people, they have this pre-fire response whenever someone asks them, what do you want to do? And I'm a victim, right? I mean, originally people asked me what I wanted to do. I said, oh, corporate law. That's just makes big money, sounds cool and fancy, sounds legitimate, right? But that's just bullshit. And I stopped giving people that bullshit answer. I was honest. I was like, if I even consider, or even if I want to pursue law school, right, it'd probably be constitutional law. And I stopped with the bullshit answer. But people in general are just have this answer in their heads, but deep inside they don't really want it. And you could say that I'm projecting and whatnot, but this is something I've talked to many people about, right? And at the end of the day, this is just my experience. But when I speak on the behalf of others, it's just something I see, right? I'm not, I don't want to give a bullshit answer anymore or learn things that don't help me learn myself. And I'm learning all these different topics, but the creativity that I want to, nourish, the environment that I want to foster where I'm always creating and I'm always self-reflecting, you kind of don't get that environment. Because think about it, right? Right after class, right after you're done learning, you are incentivized to follow up with your teachers, whether this be during office hours or through a variety of other ways. And when you're not working on your relationship with them, you're off in the rat race looking for an internship, which is what 90% of what everybody here talks about. And when you're not doing your homework, and when you're not communicating with your teachers, trying to kiss their ass, and when you're not looking for an internship, you're doing some other jargon and you're just trying to maybe go on this side or that side and put yourself and try and get yourself in this shoe and that shoes, connect someone on LinkedIn, go to a business meeting, whatever, maybe even consider joining a frat for the hope of a connection. And it's just this it just all feels arbitrary. It just all feels futile. It's just so much. It is. And this probably could be me being lazy. I mean, I'm willing to sift through a lot of books, right? And that's the thing. I want to learn stuff that I am passionate about. I've read so much so far into this year, and I low-key have been inconsistent, but I've learned so much more about myself pursuing knowledge that I want to pursue. I could definitely make the argument that I learned much more in the books I read last summer than in the entire quarter and a half that I've been here at school. And maybe I'm just not giving enough time. Maybe I'm just I'm a juvenile in this entire process, that my tenure at this school is not extensive enough for me to make that conclusion. But even with that being said, I'm sure by the time that I reach that echelon of education, I'm going to be reading more advanced books on my own time. And I don't know who said this, but one of my teachers also reiterated this quote. It was, don't let education get in the way of your learning. I think it was Mark Twain that said that. And it just feels like education is just colliding with my passion and me trying to learn about myself. And it's this cycle of me trying to sit down and actually focus on the work. Because here's another thing. I mean, as much as strenuous as it can be, as strenuous as school can be, as much of a scam it may feel like sometimes, as much of a rat race it may feel like sometimes, I know that I have to sit through the boring stuff. But it just makes it less appealing when I'm sitting in the financial aid office, when I'm just sitting there wondering how the hell I'm going to be paying just to learn some bullshit concept that I could be learning in my own time. But I mean, other than the fact that just forces me to get out there and go search for scholarships, go search for a job, go do X, Y, and Z for the payoff of a degree. And maybe I'm being disingenuous, and maybe I haven't given school enough thought, right? I'm more than open to being corrected. So please, if you have anything you want to tell me, let me know. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. But my opinion could definitely change. And of course, this may feel like a beginning, but I just wish I could learn more about myself in the classroom. So with that being said, that is the harsh reality. And also, on top of that, the people, right? I find myself being less attracted to the people around me because of the fact that there's this huge drinking and partying culture. And whether I'm a practicing Muslim or whether I intend to be disciplined or whether X, Y, and Z, I just find myself more isolated as a result, and it sucks. Like, people look at me like I'm a weirdo because I don't want to drink and I don't want to go to a party, don't want to smoke. And they say, well, you've never tried it. And you don't know that. You don't know what I have or haven't done. So I don't understand what's with the presumption. But irregardless of whatever I have done or what I may not have ever done, there's just this lack of respect, because I respect people. Like, I don't see them as less than, or whether or not you go to parties or drink or whatnot. That's you. That is fine. You are completely entitled to that. But it's just this culture where you're ostracized for doing that. But yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks that it's hard to find people that I can build genuine relationships with outside of that shallow experience of drinking with someone and not seeing them again. Because I mean, if you are drinking and you build long-term relationships, that's fine. But I mean, it's this shallow in the sense of the one night stands and the meeting someone the same night and doing whatever, it's just all so temporary and fleeting. So in that sense, if you are going to parties and whatnot, for that sense, I don't see you as less than, but I'm critical. But that's what also makes it hard, when you're not learning about yourself and you're trying to learn others and learn yourself through other people, and that makes it hard. But that's all I wanted to say. So see ya.